So I knitted this self-drafted raglan sweater and I'm not entirely happy with the fit. This has quite some sentimental value to me because it is the first ever knitted sweater I cast on. Obviously you would self-draft your first ever knitted sweater. What else would you do? This has been on my needles for a very long time. I started on this over half a year ago, I believe. And as you do with self-drafting, but also with not knowing what the hell you're doing, I frog back many times, I started over many times, and at some point just put this aside. I did gift knits, I knitted many other items, I crocheted some, and I finally came back to it this month, and I finished it last week. So this has been long in the making, and I'm mostly happy with the way the sweater looks from like here on until here. But yeah, because this has a little bit of sentimental value, I would really like this to be a staple in my wardrobe. I would like this to be something that I reach for, and right now I have worn it a couple of times, but I'm kind of forcing myself to wear it because I made it myself and I want to show it off, but I don't love this. I think this could be better. There's two main problems with it right now. The first problem is the length, and the second problem is the bind off that I did. So I wanted this to fit like another one of my favorite sweaters that I have owned for a while and I wear quite a lot, and I tend to, when I wear it, turn the hem of the body inside out on me and have the body of the sweater hang over it. And that was what I was going for with this sweater as well. And for the sleeves, I wanted these sleeves to hit ideally like mid-hand. However, I knit both the sleeves and the body a little bit shorter than I would have liked it because I was afraid this would grow with blocking. I blocked it and it didn't grow at all. So now it's not necessarily too short, but it's shorter than I would like it and shorter than I would wear it, you know. So I would like to fix that. Secondly, the bind off. I did 2x2 ribbing for all the ribbing on the sweater, and I looked at a tutorial for how to do Italian bind off and 2x2 ribbing because I didn't know how to do that. And I am relatively confident that I did exactly what the tutorial said, but the bind off is the least stretchy thing ever. Like, I could have just as well pulled some yarn through the stitches and tied a knot. It gives you absolutely nothing. There's no stretch to it. It would have probably been stretchier if I had just done a regular bind off. So that's another problem that contributes to this not being a good fit and also not being comfortable to wear, because I can feel the bind off cutting into my body when I have it on, which is not optimal. So I would like to fix these two problems. I used Drops Melody for this, which is yarn that is made out of some polyamide in the middle, and then there's some wool and alpaca parts wrapped around that polyamide strand. So it is very fluffy and very nice and cool looking, but when you knit it, the alpaca and the wool parts of it get tangled together quite a lot. So it is really hard to unravel. I started over on the sweater multiple times, so I knit the ribbing for the neck multiple times, and I still have the previous version's neck ribbing laying around. Actually, it's in here, I think. This is my little box where I keep all of my yarn scraps that I want to throw away, but I'm too lazy to get up from my table and go to my trash can to throw them away. So this is one version of the neck ribbing, and I guess this is my other version of the neck ribbing. And as you can see, the yarn is very nice, but it's like if you pull on it, it just breaks. So this would be impossible to unravel because it's so felted together and you can't really put any amount of force into pulling on it to unravel without the yarn breaking. So let's just say I'm not gonna be able to get the body hem and the cuffs unraveled. So I'm gonna try to get the stitches from the body and from the sleeves back on my needles, and then I'm gonna cut off the ribbing, and the plan is to then knit 7 more centimeters of length, I believe, and reknit the ribbing and then find a bind-off method that is actually stretchy. For the body, I would actually like to change the fit a little bit, because right now it's very casual looking, very sporty, and while that was what I was going for, I don't think I love it for the sweater, and if I'm going back anyway, I might as well change it. I'm planning to, first of all, make the ribbing a little bit longer, because I did 12 rows of ribbing for the neck, I did 12 rows of ribbing for the cuffs, and then I decided to also do 12 rows of ribbing, hard to say, for the body, because I felt like that would look the most balanced. But looking at the sweater now, I feel like it looks a little disproportional that the ribbing on the body is so short compared to the body. So I'm gonna make the ribbing a little bit longer, and I'm gonna probably do a split hem. Then in the end, hopefully I have an item I really, really like and I actually reach for and I actually wear, and I'm not gonna shut up about the fact that I made it myself. So right now I already figured out where to do my sweater surgery, and now I'm gonna watch some tutorials on how to actually do it, because it's my first time and I want to be at least a little bit informed about what I'm doing before I cut into my sweater. So usually when you do sweater surgery, you would cut into or cut above the cuff and then knit the sleeve longer and then reattach the cuff with a kitchen knife stitch, which would have been quicker, but as I said, I didn't like the bind off I did. So I reknit the entire cuff. I just cut it out and did everything again. It's taking quite a while. I think if I were to actually sit down and focus on this, I could probably get done with both sleeves and the hem in 1 day of just doing that. But I have other projects, and honestly I really want this sweater to be finished, but it's not the most fun thing to work on. It's kind of fiddly, and I'm also very over this yarn. It's Drops Melody, and it's soft, it looks really cool, and I don't know, I have a love-hate relationship with it, because I feel like since this is the first sweater I ever cast on, so it isn't entirely perfect from a technical perspective. And also I did jogless stripes on this, and really tiny jogless stripes, so these stripes are each between 1 and 3 rows or rounds wide, which I later found out after I learned how to do jogless stripes that it's actually quite hard on such small stripes. And I was experiencing that. I just thought it was hard because I was a beginner. And I am quite happy with my yarn choice, because it does conceal not the mistakes, but the difficulties I had with hiding my jogs and just some other smaller mistakes that I made, because it's so fluffy and it kind of all flows into each other. So it's harder to see the mistakes, but it's also such a pain in the ass to work with, to be honest, because I don't know, it's difficult to see your stitches, especially if you picking stitches back up. Or when you do the jogless stripes, you have to get the previous stitch back on your needle when you were on the point where you switched colors in the round before. So I don't know, it's quite difficult, and I've been working with this for such a long time now that I'm just kind of over it. I want an easy yarn where it's just with a stitch definition and you can just see what you're doing. So I'm very excited for that. I knit the cuffs on my tiny circular needles. I could have sworn I just threw the ones I used in there, but these are different size, same needles though. So they're tiny, and I got them in bamboo because I never used wooden needles before and I wanted to try it, and it's really fun, but also they're dark, so I feel like the dark yarn is kind of hard to see on them, because mostly I use needles like this. These are metal. It's just, I happen to have a lot of them because my grandma gifted them to me. And it's way easier to see the stitches on them because, especially when you're working with a darker yarn like this, because on the bamboo they just kind of disappear. Especially because right now it's evening, because I don't know, I like to knit in the evenings. And the lighting situation is not amazing. I do have a big light, but whoever turns on the big light, it's so uncomfy. So I just sit here in kind of dim lighting and try to find my stitches on the dark needles with the dark yarn, which is a bit hard. So right now, as I said, I'm finished with both sleeves and I'm picking up stitches for the hem. I was lucky in the sense that I did make a mistake on the row that I have to pick stitches on, because apparently, or I think that was the row where I finished the body and then I put the stitches on hold and I knit some of the sleeves first, because I was going back and forth between the body and the sleeves, because I don't know, I wanted to see how it fits before I knit the ribbing. And then I went back and I knit the ribbing originally, and I apparently twisted my stitches while doing that, so I picked them back up from being on scrap yarn and I had them on my needle the wrong way and didn't notice, so they're twisted, which now means that one leg of the stitch is in front of the other leg, which actually makes it easier to pick up now, so it was a happy mistake in the end. Also, the row I'm picking up right now is a row of the white yarn, and it's a single row, so that's one of the rows that's only one round white. So that means it's really easy to see which stitch I have to pick up because there's other yarns around it. Well, for both sleeves I picked up on a point where I was in the middle of a 3-row stripe, so it was kind of difficult to pick the exact right stitch. This is a lot easier, and I'm hoping I can find all of them again. It was actually, honestly, picking up the stitches is not that hard, but I'm also, as I said, to add to my love-hate relationship with this yarn, I'm working with a yarn that kind of tangles quite easily. That doesn't mean I have to like re-knit the cuffs and cut them off because I can't undo the ribbing, but it does also mean that if I cut into my yarn or into my piece, it doesn't unravel automatically, so I kind of have to put in some work, which can be annoying, but it also means that my stitches don't fall off my needles and then unravel all the way down. So that's a plus. I kind of hope I can get this done today. Probably not, it's late. Yeah, it's almost 11. But I kind of want to wear this sweater because it's starting to be like spring weather here. It was very warm this week, like, I don't know, 16, 17 degrees in the afternoons, which is definitely too warm to wear a sweater that has wool and alpaca in it. And I really want to wear this now that I've finished it, because I thought, I don't know, I finished it in February, so I thought I would still get like some weeks of wear out of it. And tomorrow is kind of, I have an outfit idea for tomorrow where I could wear it with a skirt, so that would like cool down the entire outfit, and I could probably bear to wear this warm sweater with it. Sometimes I don't know if the stitches I'm picking up are actually stitches, like if there's a mistake and it just looks kind of weird and I'm picking up a stitch, or if I'm just picking up something in between, but the more the merrier, I guess. I'm going to count in the end. It's going to be fun. I'm supposed to have 160 stitches, and I guess I'm not the only person who completely forgets how to count once you have stitches on any type of needle. I already had that problem in crochet so many times. I hate starting a crochet piece and then doing the chains, and then I do like too little or too many. I never go back and redo it. I just, I don't know, knit two together, or I like invent a new stitch in between. But I don't know how counting can suddenly become this hard. I went on a tangent. I forgot where I started. But yeah, this is honestly, the sweater surgery thing is not as hard as I thought, because I was a little bit afraid of cutting into my sweater. Not as afraid as other people are, I think. I don't know, I saw some people really freak out about it, but I think when I started to knit, I immediately learned about this hack where you can just use a crochet hook to get your stitches back when they unravel or they like fall off your needle, and then they slip some rows down. So I was never somebody who was afraid to take their needles out of their knitting. But still, it's kind of, I don't know, you like finished it and then it's pretty, and or at least kind of pretty, not perfect, but kind of pretty, and then it feels a little difficult to obviously ruin your item and cut into it. But it worked out fine the first 2 times. I'm also really lucky with the amount of yarn I got, because I truly had no idea how much yarn I would need for a sweater. I have this knitting book, by the only knitting book I own. It's by Veronika Lindberg or Kutuva Kika, and I got it for my birthday last year. I haven't knit anything from this yet, but I do have yarn, and I plan to make something from this next. And she has a cardigan in there that uses Drops Melody, so I just looked at the quantities I would need to knit that cardigan, because I assumed, okay, it's a cardigan, it can't use up that much more or less yarn than a sweater. So I just got the quantities from that, and it worked out in a way that I think if I had played my cards right and not made any mistakes, I would have been able to do this with 1 ball of each color, so 4 balls of yarn, which is kind of crazy, that's so little. But I get 2 balls of each, which was completely fine because it's truly not very expensive. So I went back and frogged and whatever so many times, and I lost so much yarn in the process. And now I still have more than enough left over to do sweater surgery and knit both the sleeves and the body longer and do an entirely new cuff and hem ribbing. So that's cool. And I'm still gonna have yarn left over, I'm pretty positive. Like, I only have some centimeters of body and the ribbing left, and this is how much yarn I still have. So I don't know what I'm gonna do with the rest of this. I saw people make scrunchies out of it. I really like how they look, but I never wear scrunchies, I never wear my hair up. I'm trying to grow it out, so maybe in the future I will. But right now, or even if I had my hair long, I don't know, I've had really long hair before, like down to my hips, and I never did anything with it. I'm just too lazy for it. And I don't know, my hair, like, it's slippery. I don't know if that's a good way to describe hair, but it just doesn't stay in hairstyles very well. So I get annoyed and it falls out, and I personally hate the sensory experience of using hairspray, so I'm just never going to do that. So I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of these, because they're like so fluffy and, I don't know, unique, I would say, that I wouldn't know how to pair them with any other leftovers I have. I also don't have that many leftovers, to be honest. So I'm not sure. If I made a very tiny sweater vest, it could kind of work, but I don't know if I want a sweater vest in this yarn. Also, I already have, like, how am I gonna arrange the colors differently than in stripes? I already have a striped object in this yarn, so I don't know. I don't know. If you have suggestions about what to make with this, please let me know. I'm gonna finish picking up my stitches, because this is very tedious. It was a good idea to film, because now I could just ramble to the camera while I was doing this and kind of forget that was happening, because it's not a pleasant experience. I'm just going to finish picking these up, and then I'm going to spend about half an hour counting and recounting and recounting, because I'm going to get a different amount each time. And then I'm going to just decide I don't care at some point and start working some more centimeters of body, and then I'm hoping it's going to turn out really pretty. But I think I have high hopes now that I did the sleeves, because they're really cool now. I could do this with bigger scissors, honestly, but I'm too lazy to get up and get them. Also, I'm so jealous of all of the people who start knitting or crocheting and they get these very pretty little scissors that have like patterns on them, or they kind of look like a little bird or something like that. I just have some old like nail scissors, because I don't know, I lost mine once and then I bought another pair and then I found my old ones, so now I have 2, and one of them just got repurposed for like yarn stuff when I started doing fiber arts, and now I'm just gonna use this forever, I guess, because I really can't justify buying a new pair of scissors if I have one that works perfectly fine. So unfortunately this is not very aesthetic, not only because I'm cutting my knits, but also because the scissors are impractical for the purpose and kind of ugly, but we almost got it. So I just cast off my sea breeze sweater and it is finished for the second time. I'm very happy with my decision to go back and do sweater surgery on this, because I think this has transformed from something I would wear out of obligation because I made it and I put a lot of effort into something I actually want to put on. I have knit the sleeves a little bit longer and I'm very happy with that because they now hit where I originally wanted them to hit. I felt like before they looked like the sweater was too small, so they would hit about here, I think, and then when I moved around they would pull up a little bit like this. And I know that this is a length that some people prefer their sleeves to be at, but for me I just wanted a more cozy look and feel, and I did achieve that. I also learned how to do a different bind-off method for my ribbing because before it just wasn't stretchy at all. And I followed a tutorial by, I think, Norman, so I will link that below. It's very easy, truly. I just, for the last round, I just knit and the stitches I had previously knit and purled the stitches I had previously purled, like normal. And then on the left needle, I would knit 2 stitches together through the back loop if I had knit my last stitch, and purled 2 stitches together if I had purled my last stitch. So that was truly incredibly easy to do and learn. And then for the body, I also knit this a little bit longer, and I did knit a split hem on this, but as you might be able to see, it is not a split hem anymore. My plan was to make the sweater look a little more put together by giving it a split hem, so I would kind of eliminate the more sporty feel, I guess. And it just, I tried it on and didn't love the way it looked on this specific sweater because I feel like the sleeves have a little more positive ease than the body does, and that is something I have, or I had already noticed that like halfway through the sweater after I had split for sleeves. And at the time, I mean, there wasn't really much I could do anymore except like go back and start over, because you kind of make that decision at the very top when you place the raglan seams. So I just went with it because it wasn't a big issue. And it still isn't, but with the split hem I just felt like it looked weird because the weight of the hem and the fact that the body was just hanging down essentially made it look even more slim compared to the sleeves. So I just kind of, I don't know, found the proportion of it a bit weird. So I went back and I closed my split hems by just sewing them together with some leftover yarn. And it's not perfect, you can kind of tell where it happened. Also my little ends that I weaved in are coming out of it already, but we'll fix that. But yeah, it's not incredibly noticeable, and also I will wear the sweater like I originally intended, with the hem flipped upside down, like inside of the sweater, so it's not like you would see the hem anyways. I cast this off in the same way as I did the sleeves, and I've tried this on now and I'm a lot happier with the way the ribbing looks, and I don't know, I will wear this for the first time I think this week for a birthday party I'm invited to, and yes, I'm very excited, I'm very happy with it, and I guess I will show you some pictures and footage of me wearing this and how I styled it with the items I have in my closet.